Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Stars of Big Sky Country, the series that spotlights the athletes at the high school, college, and professional level. I'm your host, the T-Man, Richard T-Man, and to round out these first three episodes, man, I got to tell you, this is a perfect fit because he was a phenomenal three-sport athlete that I had the privilege of seeing his senior year play out in all three. The dude is a stud by every definition of the word. He's a CMR grad, currently is a Carroll Fighting Saint, but he's the man that we all know as the money back, AJ LaFurge. AJ, welcome. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's see here. Icebreakers, first questions. Which one do I want to start with? How about a debate? Are you a sock, shoe guy or sock, shoe guy?
I am definitely a sock, shoe guy.
Okay, good, good. We're two for two. Because Mason does cereal then milk first. I don't know why these are debates. It seems like everybody I talk to, they know the right way to do things. So I appreciate you for being sock, shoe. That should help settle a lot of things. But the real icebreaker, I like to know what it's like to be you. So what is it like to be AJ LaFurge, the money back?
Well, it's busy, that's for sure. I'm waking up pretty early for 5:45 practices. Then I'll have to go to class right after that around 8 o'clock. Go to class till about 12:15. Then I got meetings from 12:15 to about 1, 2-ish. Then I got class from about 3 to 5. Then I gotta eat sometime and then I so I'm very busy. So it's a busy grind here in the college sport world, but it's awesome. I love it.
Sounds like a very stereotypical college day-to-day life for an athlete. It's all work and no play until it's actually game day, which you guys, I got a chance to come down there, see you guys play MSU Northern. I know kids on both sides, and I mean, you guys were really clicking. That was your first start. What was that like? I mean, you've been at Carroll now for a full season plus, obviously redshirted as a freshman, kind of waiting for your opportunity if there is one, and now, you know, both running backs ahead of you are hurt, and so you get the call to start taking the field at home like that in front of your friends and family. Like, walk me through, you know, coming out at entrances, the first touchdown, and just the whole game day experience for you.
Man, I was nervous. That was a big step up. I was not expecting a start this year. We had a few transfers come in, really good freshmen out of Idaho come in. So seeing them get hurt is really sad, especially the team. But took advantage of my opportunity, and it was awesome, man. It was awesome to show up from in front of my family and score that first touchdown of the game. It was awesome. It's awesome.
Were you going to be denied that first touchdown because I think they handed it to you three times, and then you finally got it in on the third one. But you look like a man on a mission that third plunge through the end zone.
I wanted that score. I got a little irritated after the first two was getting stopped, so I was going to get in that third time for sure.
Well, you guys can see that touchdown on the Fan Show's Facebook page. A great perspective. I was in the end zone. I didn't want to miss the first one because I had a feeling. I was like, I think this is going to be a money back touchdown, AJ LaFurge. So that's great, dude. I'm so happy that you're getting opportunities like that, especially as a sophomore. College, blink and you miss it, and not even joking. Like, it's a very fast 4 years or five. I mean, however long you're there, it's fast. Probably the faster the longer you stay. But what are some of the differences now that you've had a full season of Carroll under your belt? You've gotten a chance to start. As far as CMR to Carroll, what did they prepare you for, and what did they maybe leave out that you're like, you guys could have told me that this is what it was going to be like?
Well, we at CMR we played a similar offense, kind of, a spread offense, not too much of like a wing tee or anything like that. So we're definitely having four receivers out every play. But the biggest difference to me was the size difference. There's some big dudes in college ball. If we didn't have that many big dudes at CMR, so that was probably one of the biggest things. And everybody's good. Like, everybody's good at college, so that was awesome. Every day at practice, you're battling against all state, all conference players. You weren't doing that at practice, so that was one of the big differences. And what else? Just the speed of the game. The speed of the game is way faster in college. It's awesome. It's a lot more intense. There's the small things matter so much more than they did in high school. Just the progressions in your pass blocking to your angles on your routes to your first step on your zone cuts and everything. Everything has another level to it in college ball.
Yeah, it's like an onion. You just peel back layers more and more and more. But I think you're getting the hang of it. It's good to see you enjoying the grind. You mentioned that there was a few guys that you kind of came up with from CMR or Great Falls High that didn't really make it past like training camp, and it's not for everybody. You know, football at every level is going to be different, and I think you learned that pretty quick.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. It's definitely a grind. It's definitely a
Well, let's go back to the roots a little bit. So I know that you're a CMR grad, three-sport athlete, and you were one of the athletes that I featured in my three-sport senior spotlight because when I heard the three sports that you did, I was just like, how does this guy have time to do anything else? I mean, so star running back for football and a DB at that. So you played both ways in football. And then you're a wrestler. I mean, most guys that do three sports, it's like you play football, basketball, and then you do some like long distance or sprinting in track. You know, you're all just trying to keep kind of your cardio up. You know, you're just trying to stay in shape all year. You're a wrestler, and you were one of the best in the state. And then in track, you didn't just run; you hurdled. Like you were one of the best hurdlers in the state as well. Like it's crazy to look back and see just that whole thing come about in your senior year and just how good you were at all three. I mean, looking back, can you still like believe that like that's how your high school career went and that's how you finished out?
And I miss the high school days. I love to say busy playing three sports. I miss wrestling a lot. I give credit to wrestling for most of my success. That teaches me a lot of mental toughness. And I give most of that credit to my coaches there, Aaron Jensen and Jeremiah Watt. They were great guys and great coaches, and they taught me a lot of life lessons that will carry on my whole life, and mental toughness and just being able to put my head down and get stuff done.
Now, were you born and raised in Great Falls?
No, actually, I was born in Billings, and then I
Oh,
think
okay.
moved into Great Falls for a little bit, and then we moved to Portland, Oregon, actually. And then we moved back to Great Falls when I was in elementary school, and then I stuck it out there.
Okay, so a good chunk of your upbringing was in Great Falls. So, a question I like to ask everybody on here, since they're from or maybe had an impact professionally, they could be from somewhere else, but they, you know, had a good run here in the 406. You know, what is it about Great Falls or Montana as a whole that you think probably shaped you as an athlete or a person?
Well, Great Falls is a great community to play for. I loved getting recognized in local places and saying Friday, great match Saturday. It was awesome to get that love and affection in this public atmospheres. As a state, it was awesome seeing kind of like other athletes. Like I knew a lot of the boys that I was friends with there. I'm friends with now in college before I even got to college. That was kind of cool to know kind of who I was coming in with. And now those are my best friends for life. So it's awesome seeing those connections. And we kind of knew each other before. So it's pretty awesome.
Well, that's good, man. But you were a three-sport senior, three-sport athlete, really, and then you said that wrestling had one of the biggest impacts. But you're playing football now. What was the turning point, or I guess the deciding factor that said, you know, I think it's going to be football from here on out?
Well, I grew up playing football. I played football since I was a little kid, and I started wrestling a little late. And I never was really into it that much until high school. But I was always into football as much as I could be. You know, I loved football, I loved watching football, studying football, and it's just that sport. I love the team atmosphere of football. Wrestling is very individual, and it's awesome. But I love the team atmosphere.
All right, so since you're somebody who probably has a pretty good perspective on this, and I feel like I know what the answer is going to be, but I'm still going to ask it because I'm not entirely sure. So between breaking the plane and scoring a touchdown, and you either know it or you see the ref's hands go up for touchdown and you hear that crowd pop, hearing the hand slap the mat for a pin and then hearing the crowd pop for that, or hearing the crowd pop as you cross the finish for hurdles, like which one of those three was your favorite?
Oh, that's hard. I think that kind of depends on the situation. If it's a tough opponent in wrestling, that might be it. If it's a big match, but I mean, there's nothing like scoring a touchdown. That's one of the best feelings you can have for sure.
I could see that for sure. I mean, everybody, has their own touchdown dance, right? Or they think that they know that it would be just that one of the biggest moments scoring a touchdown. But I got to tell you, man, like you against another guy, mano a mano on the wrestling mat, and hearing that slap for the pin, not points, but pin. I got to say, I'm not familiar with wrestling in that aspect, but that's got to be like right up there.
Oh, it lights you up. You get so much adrenaline going through your body when that happens, especially a tough opponent or a kid that you probably shouldn't beat that you kind of get. That's one of the best feelings you can ever have. And I miss that a lot now that I don't wrestle anymore.
Looking back, what was your favorite pin?
Wow. Favorite pin. I don't know. This one isn't a pin, but it was my freshman year. Um, I think I was ranked maybe sixth or fifth, going against Hunter Meinzen, which he was a two-time state champ at the time. It was his junior year, I believe, and we were at Double A duels. He was our first match of the day. I definitely wasn't expecting to win. I was shaking in my boots. I'll tell you. Um, Match goes out. I catch him with an early kind of little toss out of a weird position, so I get a little lead in him on him, and then the match goes out. We get tied 7-7 with about 20 seconds left. And uh, he gets on top of me. And with like 10 seconds left, I Granby, which is like a roll. And I put him right to his back. And I get 4 out of it. And I win the match 11-7, I believe. So that was one of the craziest experiences of my life. I will remember that match till I die.
That's awesome, man. Good stuff right there. Well, we got another one of the serious questions before we get into the fun stuff. So, when you and I talked last for the three sports senior spotlight, I asked you what it was like to have, underclassmen or little kids even at the junior highs and grade schools come up to you and say that you inspired them. But now that you've had a year of college under your belt, you're a starter, you know what that experience is like. What inspires you like to keep going and pushing to that to be the best and to reach that next level?
And I gotta say, it's my family. I'm always trying to make my mom and dad proud, and I got a little brother to show how to do things. So I really try to be my best for my little siblings and my parents for sure.
Yeah, your family's pretty awesome. I've gotten to know your dad. Shout out to Mars of Great Falls for being one of our proud sponsors here on Stars of Big Sky Country. But your whole family, very blue collar, very hardworking. Has that kind of, you know, um, would you say that that was a pivotal point for you growing up? Like maybe the start of the foundation is just nose to the grind, as you always say. Is that kind of where it originated?
My whole family is a bunch of hard workers, so I think that definitely took a huge part in my success as an athlete for sure.
Excellent, dude. Glad to hear it.
This episode of Stars of Big Sky Country is brought to you by Russell Country Federal Credit Union, where they believe in helping you and your children achieve financial success while building a better community. They want to be your financial home, so stop in at their Great Falls or Fairfield office and get started on your new account today.
Now, time for some fun ones. You've had obviously a phenomenal high school career, and then you've had a year of college. Now you're in your second year, you're a starter. So, what's the weirdest pregame ritual that you've ever seen?
Like a teammate.
Yeah.
Wow. Hmm. Weirdest pregame ritual. We don't at CMR. There was never nothing really weird. At Carroll, wow, what do some guys do?
I imagine that one's got to have some pretty decent samples because there are guys from, all over the place, and you're like, oh, so that's a thing for you guys. That wasn't for us.
Wow. There's some guys that don't eat all day, which I need to eat. I
Wow.
just drink liquids, which I get if you're nervous. Um, wow. There's some crazy eye blacks I've seen, crazy undershirts I've seen. Um, Nothing really too crazy, to be honest. No weird spiritual dances or anything. We're all
What's what's
good.
one that you saw that you weren't expecting from that person? Like, okay, like that's not what I expected from you, but if it works, I guess.
And there's one of our receivers. He's a pretty good guy, and he had some not so nice words for Tech on one of his. we played them last year. So that one's probably a little shocking for me. Was a guy.
That's awesome. What about your pregame ritual? Has it evolved or is it the same since your days in the CMR locker room?
I stayed pretty much the same. Plug in the AirPods and just kind of lock into myself. Maybe watch a little film, visualize myself making plays. Do a little warm up before we do offensive clap. Just get on the field. Make sure you're used to the field environment. That's a big thing I feel for me. You need to be on the field, get a little warm up, and do a little run and a little high knees stretching. That acclimates me to the game atmosphere for sure.
Well, what about a throwback to CMR? What is something that you miss about one of the guys, whether it be their pregame ritual or just their quirkiness or their attitude, that you're just like, man, I wish we had that here at Carroll. Like that was a CMR Rustler staple for me, and we just don't have that here.
And I hate to give Ore Digger some props, but I do miss Anthony Oaks' energy.
Ooh, yeah, yeah, I could see that for sure. Yeah, Oaks.
He was a crazy dude, and I miss that. Energy.
How crazy.
He was pretty crazy. He would do some wild things, that's for sure.
I'll have to ask him more about that when he's on the show. I'm looking forward to talking to him. But yeah, there was a bunch of you guys. That was a great senior class. That was a great team for you guys at CMR that year, and there was just a lot of great highlights. So much fun to watch. But now that you're at college, you got to obviously be thinking kind of about what's next. So I know that you still got plenty of years playing football, but have you thought about what you want to do post Carroll, or has that idea changed at all as far as what you went into Carroll with the plan to do?
I've always kind of wanted to work for my dad after school, kind of take over his paint protection film area and tint. So I'm really leaning to do that once I'm out of college. And I'm gonna get a business degree, so I'll help him with his financial stuff as well.
Yeah, it was funny. Him and I had a conversation about that, and he was just like, he's like, yeah, I was kind of surprised. Business. I mean, he's more of a hands-on kind of kid. And I said, well, I mean, there was that episode in Yellowstone where Jamie Dutton goes up to John and says he wants to be him, and so he says, well, you're getting into Harvard to go be a lawyer, and he's like, I don't know what that means. He's like, well, if you want to be me, I need you to be the thing that can protect this place just like I do, but in a different way. And so I said, if you're running this business and maybe the business aspect isn't like your forte, if AJ goes and gets this business degree, that could be the missing piece to a flourishing business. And he's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. That could be it. So I don't know if that was the thought going into it, but obviously you have a business mind where you thought, I think that this would be good for me. What was it about business that was kind of the calling card for you?
Just to get that off my dad's hands, so he can do more work and make some more money, not spend too much time in the office. And I love to take that off him and help him out in any way I could. So,
Spend less time with guys like me trying to sell him stuff. Well, it's been a great conversation with you. I did want to have you kind of look back and see if there's anybody, as far as guys around either the Frontier Conference or throughout, that you wish that you had maybe kept up with and kind of want to shout them out for, their help with you and just kind of molding you into the athlete that you are and getting you ready for your days at Carroll.
I'd like to shout out Cole and Gus Nunez. Cole was my quarterback. Can't do anything without a quarterback. He was one of my best buddies in high school, and he's doing great things at MSU, starting on all special teams and making plays when he can. Gus, he's my roommate. He was playing football, but had to quit because his knee injuries. We're still roommates, and we're still best friends. They helped me become the guy I am for sure. They're always there when I need them, and I love those guys.
How much time did Cole spend in front of a mirror, and how much hair product was in his locker during football days?
He is a pretty boy, but he did a whole lot. He's just naturally gorgeous, just lucky like that.
He's naturally gorgeous and lucky like that. That's a solid quote right there. Okay, perfect. Okay, rest of the episode's done. We got what we needed. We're moving on. No, I miss all those guys. Yeah, Gus was a great talent too, and I hope that he finds, whatever his passion is moving on next. What is the last question I have for you? What is the most Montana thing you've ever done? Because in the Midwest, obviously the stereotype is like cow tipping, but Montana, there's got to be a lot of them. What's the most Montana thing you, AJ LaFurge, has ever done?
Wow, most Montanan thing. I I kind of just I've been very city boy from Montana, I feel like. But my some of my best friends from college now, they're some small town folk and they've shown me how rowdy some of the little cities are on there. I don't know if I can quite state what we've done, but it's wild and western. So
Have you ever thought, when I was graduating high school, there was a bunch of guys that found out that out at Eastern, where a bunch of us ended up going to college because it was it was like the Carroll, of Spokane. So they found out that there was a rodeo arena out there and that they did rodeo like once a month during the summer, like local competitions. And so a bunch of the guys were just like, yeah, we're gonna go do rodeo and, and ride bulls and stuff. Has stuff like that ever crossed your mind as far as like obviously your football, wrestling, track, but I mean, there's nothing more really Montana than rodeo. Have you thought about how you would fare bull riding or bronc riding or steer wrestling?
that's that is a totally different animal, and I'm not gonna say I'm great at it, but I think it would be a lot of fun. It seems like a great thing to do, but it would be hard for sure. I've jumped on a few horses, and that was terrifying. So I could only imagine a bull. So
Well, I think for you, what would fit best with your background and accolades would be steer wrestling. I mean, I would want to see at some point AJ LaFurge try his hand at steer wrestling just to see, one, what the differences were. Obviously, when you're riding a horse, but if you felt like you had an advantage going into it, or if it was something that you enjoyed doing and will never do again. Like that's my challenge to you at some point. I want to see AJ LaFurge steer wrestle.
I'll try it if the opportunity comes.
Other than the future beyond college, what's next for you? Like, how do you keep busy as far as when there's no football season? Because we all know that football is pretty much 365, 24/7. But what do you find yourself enjoying now at college, or maybe that you kept through from high school with you that's like maybe a hobby or just something that you do to kill time?
Well, I also do track at Carroll. Still hurdling over there. So right as football's over, I have like a 2 week gap of free time, and then into indoor track season. So I'll be going over to Bozeman and U of M running some indoor track right away. So I'm staying very busy. But the little time that I have, I like to go hunting, but we don't have that much time with football. We have a little window and Thanksgiving break for a little hunting going on there, and I like spending family time. Every time I can, I go home, see the fam, see the little siblings, see the grandparents. So very very homebody, if you would.
All right. Well, I certainly hope you get a chance to go hunting. I really want to as well. It's about finding spots for me. I've got time, but now I need to know where to go. Your dad and I have been talking about that a little bit, so we'll see what we can come up with. But I like to end every episode the same, and that is with a message from you, AJ LaFurge. Is there a quote you want to leave us with, or a message that you'd like to leave us with for, I don't know, the wrestlers right now, or future wrestlers, or future athletes?
And I would just, however hard something gets, just keep driving. Don't never give up. Never give up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, never give up. The final words from AJ LaFurge here, the money back, and what a great conversation it's been. This will round out our first 3 episodes of this new series, and these 3 have been awesome. So, 3 for 3 with a 3-sport athlete, perfect way for this first batch to conclude. So, I want to thank you, AJ, so much again for your time. I know you're a very busy guy, but this conversation was well worth it.
Thank you.
All right, so one more time. He is the money back AJ LaFurge. So for the money back, I am the team man, Richard Tiemann, and this has been another great episode. And until next time, you can catch us among the stars of Big Sky Country. We'll see you next time.